Well, hello. Welcome to In the Lab tonight. I am so privileged that I get to step in again for Dr. Tracy Gibbs as he's still on, celebrating his anniversary in warm weather. This morning we got dumped with a little snow here in Minnesota. I thought winter was over, but I guess not. So welcome everyone. Just let me know where you're chiming in from. I'm super excited about tonight's topic because it's one of my favorite topics to talk about is gut health. So last week we dove into the importance of sleep, why we need sleep, the timing we had for the sleep to get into our rest, digest, and repair. That was last week. And I said, sleep is king and detoxification and elimination and nutrition is queen. So I'm going to dive into the importance of your gut health and why it's so important to take care of our gut, what we need to do to improve our gut, the symptoms that we might experience when we have dysbiosis in the gut, an imbalance of the bacteria. I'm also going to cover a little bit about what is the bacteria in our gut, the importance of the bacteria, the microbiome, and explain a little bit how our digestion works so you have a better understanding for when you do eat food or you have sensitivities for food, how to overcome it naturally. And I'm also going to be sharing my two favorite products that has helped a lot. Also, I have a couple testimonials that I'm going to share with you that has helped people tremendously with their gut health. So I'm super excited. I'm just going to start diving right into it. On the importance of gut health. So I want to ask you this question. Have you ever felt in any time, not necessarily right now that you're feeling this, do you feel sluggish, bloated? Maybe you reach for unhealthy foods and you have cravings for sweets or salts. Your energy is not there. Poor sleep, brain fog, skin issues, frustrated, not able to take off extra weight, constipated, diarrhea, feeling inflammation, like achy joints. I'm going to cover a little bit about that this evening. Maybe the hormones are off. Now, all of these could be underlying gut issues. So we have 4 areas in digestion. First, the absorption. First, digestion. So if we can't digest, we can't break down the foods in our body and breaking it down into smaller. Then we have the absorption. So taking it into the intestines, into the bloodstream and absorbing it, utilizing. That's step 3 is assimilation, using those products for those building blocks to assimilate, to build new hair, nails, tissues, brain cells, muscles, all of that. And then lastly, the elimination. So if we can't do those 4 things, digest, absorb, assimilate it, and then eliminate it, then our intestines, our body is not working at its full potential. So we want all 4 of those really working in order. So first, did a little research. Did you know the CDC states that 1.7 billion, that's with a B, $billion are spent every single year just in the United States alone on inflammatory bowel disorders, or IBS, inflammatory bowel syndrome, and over 700,000 doctor visits from inflammation. That's a lot of inflammatory bowel disease. I mean, it's not just Crohn's, it's not just IBS, it's not just being constantly constipated, inflammation can cause so much havoc in our digestive tract, in our whole body. So think of inflammation can cause Alzheimer's, arthritis, diabetes. It can go on, inflammatory bowel disease, neuropathy, pain, cancers, all of that. So when we can get the inflammation down in our body, then our body can work properly. Think about it. If something's on fire, if your house is on fire right now, would you be remodeling and adding like pretty things, like putting good food in, but I need to be healthy, but the inside is on fire? No, you have to put the fire out, build that foundation, and then your body can work properly. So let's talk about your digestion, because we have a tube from our mouth all the way down to the anus. It's one big tube. When we eat our food, it goes into this tube. It doesn't go to all of our limbs and everywhere else in our body. It has to be broken down into smaller particles to be able to absorb in. So in our intestines, we have these little, I call them antennas or hairs, or let's call them like a shag carpet. So they're little hairs in our intestines. And these hairs in our intestines, the shag carpet, is lined with like a little cheesecloth. So that cheesecloth is a semi-permeable, kind of like a screen door that lets the air in but keeps the bugs out, right? So this cheesecloth can have, holes broken down into it. So our stomach produces acid, hydrochloric acid, and the stomach acids, what happens with it, a lot of times people don't have enough stomach acids in the stomach, and then they have acid reflux. So we have this little valve on the top of our stomach, on the top and on the bottom. And when our stomach acids are very acidic, around a 1 or 2, that valve actually closes up at the top. When we don't have enough acid and it's more alkaline, that valve is actually opened up. And when that valve is open, then we get this backup of acid, GERD and acid reflux and heartburn that comes up into our chest and our throat. So a lot of times we don't have enough stomach acids. We have these symptoms and then we go into the doctor, I'm like, I have all this acid, and then they give us things that will actually, make it worse. They're trying to neutralize it or make it more alkaline. So our stomach acids are very, very important to have. This stomach acid helps break down proteins. So we have protein. Think of a chain of protein is like a string of pearls. It's a necklace around. So you have the chain of protein, the hydrochloric acid in the stomach unclasps that necklace. Then we need enzymes to break up all those pearls up. So we have the hydrochloric acid that unclasp it. We have the enzymes, and enzymes we get we know in the one, we have lots of enzymes. It helps break things down into smaller portions, and it breaks it into individual amino acids. And when it's broken down to the amino acids, it goes down the tube of our intestines, and then the little shag carpet hairs with the cheesecloth that is on there, it brings it through, absorbs it through the bloodstream, and that's how we get our nutrients to go all the way, to all parts of our body. So what happens is when we don't have enough hydrochloric acid, when we don't have enough enzymes to help break apart the protein molecules into smaller portions, then we have larger portions that get into the bloodstream. When we have exposed to Roundup, wheat, exposed to seed oils and unhealthy oils and chemicals and dyes and, the SAD diet, the standard American diet, the Western diet, all of these things actually tear little tears in this cheesecloth. But God made our body just so amazing that we repair our cells all the time. We have millions of cells that are being reproduced every second. Millions of cells are dying every second. Millions of cells are being reproduced every second of every minute of every day. And so we have all these, our bodies being reproduced. So we have, let's say, we have cereal for breakfast and it breaks down the cheesecloth in our cell. And then for lunch, we have a sandwich and it breaks down and makes little holes in that cheesecloth, but it heals itself. And then for dinner, we have pasta and it tears it a little bit, but then it heals. We have salad and then we put some, salad dressing, maybe with some seed oils in it or high fructose corn syrup. It breaks down that cheesecloth over time, but it always heals. Our intestines and that cheesecloth can heal within 3 to 5, 7 days. So literally, like within a week, you can have all new intestines, the wall and the intestines, so you won't have those symptoms. So what happens week after week after week, we're exposed to all these toxins and these bad foods that are just so delicious. Sometimes we can't go without. Our body heals, it reproduces, it breaks down. So if it breaks down week after week, month after month after month, and then all of a sudden, one day, it doesn't heal anymore. We have this hole in the screen, the screen door. We have the hole in the cheesecloth. So when we're eating the food and it's breaking down, but a larger particle actually gets through there. When that larger particle comes through the wall, the semi-permeable wall, because we have holes in it, then our body does what it does best, is trying to, protect us. So it goes, alert, alert, alert. I'm going to send some antibodies and then attack it because I don't recognize it in its smallest form on there. So we have these antibodies attacking our cells from foods that we were never sensitive in the past, but now we're sensitive because of all, what we've done to our gut microbiome, is that we've destroyed the lining of it from the foods and environment and toxins and chemicals and chlorine and fluoride in toothpaste and, the chemicals in our waters. Like, it can go on and on. But our body is just so smart, it reproduces. So we want to give it the right material so it's not tearing and reproducing in there. So we have this gut bacteria. So how do we reproduce and make that gut lining really strong so we don't have these sensitivities? We don't have like autoimmune. The body is not going to attack itself because it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, is keeping us alive and healthy all the time. So our gut has, we're made out of bacteria, over 100 trillion cells in our body, and 10 times, we have more bacteria than cells in our body, probably 10 times more. And the bacteria is very important. The bacteria is there to produce B vitamins, vitamin K. It helps with helping us with our bowel movements. It helps with hormone production. It helps fight infections. It helps with our metabolism. So the bacteria is very important. So it's not necessarily what we eat, but what our bacteria eats. It's what our microbiome eats. So here's a fun fact. I love sharing this because people always remember this. We have the good gut bacteria and the bad bacteria. we have essential vitamins, and then we have non-essential vitamins. So essential vitamins are the vitamins that are essential that we need to get from outside sources. So our body is not producing those essential vitamins. Non-essential vitamins, our body produces these vitamins on their own. So you're probably asking, how is our body producing it? Well, the bad bacteria, what they have is they eat the vitamins that we have and they poop out toxins. The good bacteria, they eat the toxins and poop out vitamins. So there you go. It's the bacteria that's pooping in our body. That's how we get our vitamins. So I bet you're going to remember that. So when we have a imbalance of our microbiome, we can have it's a dysbiosis in the gut. Sometimes we have, it's called SIBO, small intestinal, overgrowth in the intestines. And it's the bad bacteria that's overgrowing or taking over. And that's how we get the cravings a lot, is because we have this imbalance in the gut. And we have trillions of microorganisms, but not all of them are pathogenic. Probably most of them are not. We probably have maybe 100 of them that might cause disease, and then 10,000s of the species in our microbiome that can actually help. They help with the lining of our gut. They can help us repair our intestinal walls. So it's very important to have these organisms and bacteria in our gut. So think of our gut like its own ecosystem there. It reproduces and it needs this balance and harmony in that ecosystem. So it's like a dying reef. Like if you have IBS, it's like a dying reef that's dying off in the ocean. So we eat food, and so do they. That's why it's like not what we eat, but what our microbiomes eat. They travel, and we travel as well. And if we die, they consume us. So it is there. So what disrupts our microbiome? Well, things like stress, severe illnesses, any use of antibiotics. I call it the A-bomb, because the antibiotics will destroy all your good gut bacteria. I'm not just talking about antibiotics that we take for if we have a virus and we're sick and we go to the doctor, but antibiotics that they feed our meat and dairy and maybe, toxins that are in our toothpaste, our water supplies. All of these will destroy our microbiome. Any chemicals, preservatives, dyes in the food also wreak havoc. That's the cheesecloth in the intestines, all those little hairs, the villi, it tears the little holes in it, so those semi-permeable becomes larger holes, so larger particles get through. So all of these environmental toxins, the SAD diet, the standard American diet, saturated fats, seed oils, if we're not getting enough fiber, also tears the microbiome. Excess alcohol also kills off all of the bacteria. And we can't be afraid of, a little dirt here and there. If we're taking those hand sanitizers, those also kill our good gut bacteria in there. So we have all these microbiomes. And what I love about the one with LifeWise is Tracy put a ton of these beneficial bacteria, the live enzymes in there to help grow our good gut bacteria, to help make our gut nice and tight so we don't have those holes, or repair those holes from the everyday environment and lifestyle and, that we're exposed to just living in America. We can move to Europe and not be exposed to nearly as many toxins, but we're here in the United States and Canada, and we're exposed to a lot more. So that's why it's so much more important to have the one is to replenish the bacteria. So fermented foods as well, prebiotics, which we have 9 strains in here, and then also increasing fiber. So we have about 400 to 600 million of these beneficial bacteria that is dying off every single day. But you know what's good? It's also reproducing every day as well. Like I said, we have millions of cells that are dying off, millions of cells are reproducing. So if you have this gorgeous plant and it's sitting in great soil with all the food and sunshine and water, it's going to be this amazing flourishing plant. But if you uproot it and put it into an environment that is not healthy, it's going to soon wilt away and die. But if we take that same plant that's not in a good environment, put it in a healthy environment, then it's going to flourish again. And that's where our cells are in our body. We want to surround it with good environment so it can flourish and reproduce healthy cells instead of reproduce not healthy cells. So we have these beneficial bacteria in there. Antibiotics completely destroy our good gut bacteria. Soda and alcohol destroy the good gut bacteria, but the antibiotics are the worst. And so if you go to the store, and this is why I absolutely love LifeWise, and every single client that comes sees me, this is the foundation of what I put them on, because it has everything you need to rebuild, especially if they've been sick and they've been taking antibiotics. Just 1 week on the one will replenish their good gut bacteria, and so they can start replenishing and healing their gut, and the body does what it's naturally supposed to do. But if they go to the store and like, I have pre-probiotics at home, or I have probiotics, a lot in the store, or you can get online, they only have 1 to 2 strains of it, and it doesn't do it as well. You know, it might help. Every strain does something different. You know, some will help with brain health, some will help with gut health, some will help with replenishing your skin, some will help with like UTIs or hormone productions, or some will help break down the foods. So not all enzymes. We have probably over 2,000 enzyme functions in our body, and each does a different function. And we are familiar with enzymes that break down foods, right? Digestive enzymes. They help take the foods and break it down even smaller so we can absorb it through, you know, the shag carpet with the cheesecloth around it. But we have enzymes to help eliminate carbon dioxide. We have enzymes to help grow our hair. We have enzymes for everything. And Tracy, like, he's amazing on his. So he literally put all these vegetable blend, our super fruits, our probiotics, our prebiotics, our enzymes, our trace minerals, all 72 trace minerals, and sea buckthorn oil with the omegas in there, all in the one. That's why he calls it the one, because it literally helps replenish. It's everything that you need that will fill in the gaps of your nutrition and start repairing. Also, I was talking about if your kitchen or your house is on fire, right? So if your house is on fire, you're not going to go and remodel while it's still on fire. You have to take distinguish the fire. Think of inflammation is the fire. And we have the Restore, which helps put out the fire of inflammation. And when I started off, I talked about $1.7 billion. Just the United States alone has inflammatory bowel disease. That's just in your intestines, you know. the inflammation in the intestines. Think about inflammation anywhere else in your body. You know, if you have aches and pains and brain fog and, you know, diabetes or arthritis, all of that is inflammation that the body's going, hey, I'm on fire. Let's send some troops to help decrease the fire. But we're talking about gut health. And so if you have any inflammation, this is a great pair that you're going to pair these together. Not only you're decreasing the fire, you're then feeding it the great nutrients to feed the gut to repair it from the inside out. So we're talking on the cellular level, not just extracellular. So we have this tube going from top to bottom, and if we're eating a steak, it doesn't come, it's not just a steak, it has to break it down. We need those enzymes. Plus, it has all those green foods because, you know, our ancestors consumed over 100 grams of fiber a day, and now the recommendation's about 25 grams of fiber a day. Do you know what the average person probably getting? This is probably even way over than what I really think. They're saying about 15 grams a day of fiber people are getting, but I feel like it's around 5. People are not eating their greens at all. They're not eating vegetables. And if they are, they're cooking it and they're killing it off. So if you want a good experiment, this is amazing. Take some pudding, open it up, open up the capsules, and pour the capsule into a pudding. Stir it up. It'll be less than 2 minutes. It will completely turn liquid. The pudding will be liquid. You know then you have an amazing product because it has live enzymes. It's not killed off. It's not radiated. It's not heated. Form that the body can use. Oh, it says reconnect. Okay. So I'm going to end with this. You're probably wanting to know some good practices to do to help besides, you know, taking, you know, good supplementation that help. So what else can you do? Well, one is eliminating the inflammatory food, the sugar, the dairy, the processed foods, things that have GMO, things that have glyphosate in it, you know, all these seed oils and dyes, all of those, the inflammatory foods. Try to eliminate them from the, you know, from your day-to-day diet. Increase your pre and probiotics. So especially, you know, half an hour, you don't have to take this with a meal, but it helps break down more with the meal. And a lot of probiotics out there in the market are just probiotics. They don't have prebiotics, which prebiotics are the food's food. So probiotics will not do anything unless they have prebiotics to help them. So if people are saying, well, I take a probiotic, if it doesn't have prebiotic, they're wasting their money. So if they're not taking the one, they're wasting their money anyway. Another thing that also helps replenish with the gut is taking aloe or slippery elm really helps heal the gut lining. When you're drinking water, make sure you're drinking water between meals and not during a meal. Because when you're drinking water during the meal, it completely dilutes the digestive enzymes and it will just flush it out. So we need those enzymes to help break down the food. Slowing down while you're eating, chewing the food, make it an applesauce in your mouth. And that's the first part of digestion. It's really breaking it down, making it mush. So when it gets down to the lower part of the intestines, if you're just taking a big, you know, bite of steak and just taking a few chews and then swallowing it, it has different processes in to break down. If it's not breaking down in the first portion, I would say phase 1 of digestion, it has to do phase 1 and phase 2. And that's where a lot of times we come into trouble with constipation. We don't have the fiber to help move it along. We're dehydrated. And then, you know, there's all these phases in the digestion tract that we need to take into consideration. So slowing down, enjoying the food, making sure that you're not stressed, you're not hurried, because if you're stressed, then you're not digesting, because your body is in this fight or flight. I need to go instead of the rest and digest. Also, when you're drinking water, not during the meal, make sure it's clean water. Less, eating maybe smaller portions so your body is not, having to strain to digest all that food at once is also a good rule of thumb. And then also not eating right before bed. I covered this last week of, not eating right before bed, at least 2 to 3 hours, so the body can get into the resting phase to digest all the food. Because if you go to bed with a full stomach, guess what your body's not doing? It's not repairing itself. It's taking all that energy to digest that food. So those are a few tips that I wanted to share. I have so much more, but I wanted to keep it within a half hour. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and allowing me to educate you guys on good gut health. This is my passion to educate on nutrition. So thank you so much. Thank you, Rob and Ronnie and Tracy, for allowing me to fill in for In the Lab. And if you are new and you're just tuning in and you're going, what is this, the one and the restore? Get back to the person who invited you, and they can share a lot more about LifeWise and the amazing products that we have to help with your digestion and overall health. So thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.